When people think of climate change, often temperature increases come to mind first. But rising temperatures are only the beginning of the story. In the Greater Yellowstone Ecosystem, changes in precipitation patterns are playing a decisive role in shaping the future of America's first national park. Today we're going to see how the changing seasonality and form of precipitation is radically altering the Greater Yellowstone Ecosystem.
My name is Elijah Starkey, and I'm out here in Yellowstone National Park. Water is an essential part of any ecosystem. Its relative abundance or absence shapes life, forcing it to adapt to what water is available. Yellowstone's, of course, no different. Here you can expect to see intermittent thunderstorms in the summer, short-lived but powerful. In the fall, precipitation shifts from rain to snow, and often a mix of the two. In the winter, deep snow blankets the landscape, turning Yellowstone into a winter wonderland. And gradually, the snow shifts to rain as spring gives way to summer.
But now all of this is changing. Summer precipitation is declining. Since 1950, there's been a decline in precipitation measuring 17% in June and 11% in July. In the same time, precipitation in the cold season has increased. We've seen a 42% increase in October and a 17 and 23% increase in April and May respectively. Throughout all these changes, total precipitation across the Greater Yellowstone Ecosystem hasn't changed in a significant way. What has changed in a significant way is the form of precipitation. There's been a 25% decrease in snowfall across the region, most dramatically in the spring when the greatest warming has occurred.
Decreased snowfall is having a dramatic effect on the Greater Yellowstone Ecosystem. Melting snowpack is a significant source of water through the dry spring and summer months. In addition, warmer temperatures are melting the snowpack earlier, bringing on peak stream and river flow 8 days earlier than the mid-century average. Changes in the timing of peak stream and river flow of this magnitude haven't been seen in this area since the Dust Bowl.
These changes are leading to more arid summers, threatening wetland ecosystems, increasing the frequency and intensity of forest fires, and may even lead to the aquifers feeding some of the park's most famous geysers and hot springs drying up. It's not unprecedented. The geologic record indicates that during a previous dry period, Old Faithful, one of the park's most famous attractions, ceased activity for nearly a century. If decreased snowpack and earlier snowmelt reduce the amount of water in the aquifers feeding the park's hydrothermal features, we could once again see Old Faithful and other features cease activity. While a reduction or cessation of hydrothermal activity would certainly be a major blow to Yellowstone, the most devastating effect is likely to be the increased frequency and risk of forest fire across the region.
In one of the best-case scenarios, researchers predict that the total area of the Greater Yellowstone Ecosystem dominated by winter snowfall will decrease from 59% to 27% mid-century. By the end of the century, only 11% of the Greater Yellowstone Ecosystem would be dominated by winter snowfall. Worse yet, in a scenario where little is done to mitigate climate change, the total area of the Greater Yellowstone Ecosystem dominated by winter snowfall declines to 1% by the end of the century.
It is nearly impossible to adequately illustrate how completely devastating this would be to Yellowstone. Forest fires on the scale of the 1988 outbreak would become an annual or semi-annual occurrence. Eventually, the only thing limiting the size of these fires would be how many trees are left to burn. Yellowstone's temperate forest would be replaced by prairies and grasslands. The park and surrounding area would be unrecognizable as the bastion of ecological diversity it is today. Even in the best-case scenarios, ones in which immediate and dramatic efforts are taken to combat climate change, many of these consequences are unavoidable. What we do today, as people and as a society, will affect how severe and how long-lived these consequences are.
We've already lost a lot, and we stand to lose a lot more. Climate change is a massive issue, which sometimes seems to move at a glacial pace, and other times seems to come at us all at once. It's okay to be afraid of what truly is an apocalyptic threat. It's okay to sometimes lose sight of the scale of this crisis. We weren't made for, and we certainly weren't prepared for a crisis of this magnitude. It's important to remember, though, that apathy or defeatism won't solve this crisis. The solution to this crisis will come from organizing around and fighting for real and dramatic changes to climate policy. The solution will come from not accepting piecemeal or half-hearted non-solutions. This is not a problem that will go away on its own, and every minute we waste not addressing the climate crisis only digs us a deeper hole to drown in. Yellowstone, like the rest of the natural world, like the very civilization we live in, will change fundamentally within the next century. If we are to prevent its wholesale destruction, our attitudes towards and approach to the climate crisis must also change.